online education for the English medium arranged by the Education Department of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. So today we are going to study the subject science for class 9th. So the topic that we are going to continue today is this topic study of sound, and the content that we are going to learn today is sonar and the human ear. Right? This is the session number 3 in the ongoing series. Right? My name is Vishal Sudhir Chowdhury, and I am from the Kurar Village MPS English Secondary School, Malad East. Okay, so let us first of all go into what all content that we have been studying and we are going to study in the chapter, that is relating to sound waves, velocity of sound, reflection of sound, the human ear, then audible sound, infrasonic sound, and ultrasound. So these are the topics that we are going to be covering within this chapter, right? Let us first of all recall what all things that we have done so far in this chapter in the previous 2 sessions. In this, we have learned about the definition of sound, certain properties of sound waves, then certain types of waves as longitudinal waves, transverse waves. Then we have seen some characteristics of sound waves. Then we have seen the formula for velocity of sound. Then how does the velocity of sound vary with the various conditions around it. Then we had seen the types of sound as in audible sound, infrasound, and ultrasound. Then we had seen the concept of reflection of sound and how sound reflects when it strikes a medium, strikes a surface, right? And then we had seen the concept of echo and reverberation. Now, before we start, let us go into detail about the content we have done so far so that it will be beneficial for us for studying the future content. Okay, so let us go about the definition of sound, right? So sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears, right? So there are certain properties of sound waves, as in sound energy travels in the form of waves, and a medium is necessary for the propagation of sound waves, right? So we have already studied that sound will never travel through vacuum. Okay, so for sound to travel, it needs a medium. So that medium can be a solid or a liquid or a gas. Okay, so as you can see in the diagram here, the sound travels in the form of these waves, right, in the form of vibrations. Okay, then so sound waves gives rise to a chain of compressions and rarefactions in the medium. So if you can see here, the compressions and rarefaction, they are moving along in the form of a vibration. Okay, so you can see the wave is moving from left hand side to the right hand side. Now if you look at the individual particles in the medium, if you concentrate on one of those red dots, you can see that the red dot is just moving back and forth, means it is just oscillating about its mean position. Okay, but you can see a series of compressions which are regions of high pressure and high density. They are moving along from left to right. Okay, and there are rarefactions which are regions of low pressure and low density. So if you can see, there are alternate regions of compressions and alternate regions of rarefactions which are moving in the form of vibration. So you can see they are shown represented in the form of a graph below, where the peaks at the top, they represent the rarefaction, right? And the troughs or the bottom end of the wave, they represent what? The rarefaction. Okay, so this is a simple kind of a sound wave that you can imagine. Okay, then the next concept that we had seen was one more thing we need to remember is that the top wave, which is showing the particle oscillating, it is a form of a longitudinal wave, right? So in a longitudinal wave, the particles oscillate back and forth, and the movement of the wave, that is from left to right, they are parallel to each other, means the oscillation, the direction of oscillation and the direction of wave, they are parallel to each other. So such a wave is a longitudinal wave. On the other hand, the wave at the bottom, right, where the particle happens to move up and down, vibrates up and down, whereas the wave moves from left to right, such a wave is called as a transverse wave. Okay, now let us talk about the velocity of sound. So the distance covered by a point on the wave in unit time is a velocity of the sound wave. Okay, so we are aware about the definition of velocity. So velocity is given as what? Distance traveled per unit time, or distance upon time. Any point on the sound wave covers a distance equivalent to lambda, that is a wavelength, in time t, which is the time period. Thus the velocity is given by v is equal to nu into lambda, where v is the velocity of the sound, nu is the frequency of the sound wave, and lambda is the wavelength of the sound wave. We know that frequency nu is equal to inverse of the time period, that is nu equals to 1 by t. So if we substitute the value of nu, we will get what? Velocity will be equal to wavelength upon time period, that is v is equal to lambda upon t. Okay, so these formulas we are going to make use when we are going to be solving the numericals in the near future. Okay, then let us now also discuss about the variation in the velocity of sound. Right now, the velocity of sound changes with changes in certain physical conditions of the medium. Right, the first of them is what? The temperature. So you can see velocity is directly proportional to the square root of the temperature. Right, that means what? The temperature, as the temperature increases, the velocity of the sound also increases. Then the next is what? Variation with density. You can see velocity of sound is inversely proportional to the square root of the density. That means as density of a medium increases, velocity of the sound in that medium decreases. Right? And the third variation is variation with molecular weight of the medium, right? The particles of the medium. Okay, so velocity of the sound is inversely proportional to the square root of the molecular weight, right? We have already gone into quite a detail when we had studied this in the first class. Okay, then next we had studied about the various types of sound that are around us. Okay, so the first type of the sound is the audible sound. The audible sounds are the sounds which us humans can hear very nicely. Okay, so audible sounds, they lie in the frequency range from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Right, here the term hertz is a unit for frequency, where 1 hertz is 1 oscillation per second. Okay, so humans can be able to hear the vibrations which range from 20 times per second to 20,000 times per second. Anything beyond that we cannot hear. Okay, so these are the types. The ones we cannot hear are infrasound and ultrasound. Right, so frequency lower than 20 hertz is a infrasound. That means what? Sound generated by something like a pendulum, a moving pendulum in a clock, or maybe the sound waves generated by the vibration of the earth's crust just before an earthquake. Right, they are under the category of infrasound. Now, certain animals like elephants, dogs, they can hear infrasound. Okay, then the next is what? Your ultrasound. So ultrasound are sounds which have a frequency that is higher than 20,000 hertz, right? So there are certain animals like bats, dolphins, right? They can generate as well as hear the ultrasound, right? Ultrasounds have a lot of applications. Some of the applications of ultrasound we are going to be studying today, right? So do remember the concept of ultrasound, right? It is a frequency, means sounds of frequency higher than 20,000 hertz. Okay, then the next concept that we had seen was about a reflection of sound, where we had seen this activity, right? We had a hard plywood kept, right, and a division and a partition made of a softwood, right? Now across the two sides of the partition, we had on one side a stopwatch and a person trying to listen, right? Now we had kept two pieces of cardboard tubes at an angle, and when the stopwatch was kept right in front of one of the tubes, and if you try to listen on the other end of the second tube, you were able to hear the ticking sound. That means what? The sound of the stopwatch was reflected against the hard plywood surface, right, where the angle made, right, angle made by the sound waves with the normal, that is a perpendicular drawn on the hard plywood, was made, that is angle of incidence I, was found to be equal to the angle of reflection R. Right, so reflection of sound, or sound also happens to obey the various laws of reflection. Okay, then one of the phenomena that was relating to your reflection of sound was a concept of an echo. Okay, so whenever you might have visited a hill station, you might have come across a echo point. Okay, so an echo is a repetition of the original sound because of reflections from some surface. Right, now there need to be certain conditions for us to hear a distinct echo. Let us see what are those. Right, at 22 degrees Celsius, the velocity of sound in air is 344 meters per second. Our brain retains this sound for 0.1 seconds. Right, means whenever any kind of a sound enters in your brain, it persists there for 0.1 seconds. So you cannot hear the same sound before 0.1 second. There has to be a time interval of 0.1 second. Okay, so thus for us to be able to hear a distinct echo, the sound should take more than 0.1 seconds after starting from the source to get reflected and come back to us. Means the original sound should take more than 0.1 seconds to reflect and come back to us. Okay, so let us try to calculate the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface, right? We can determine the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface as follows. Now we know the definition for, or the formula for speed. Speed equals to distance upon time. So if you want to calculate distance, the formula changes as distance equal to speed into time. That equals to, if you substitute the values of speed and time, it is 344 meter per second into 0.1 seconds. So that gives us a distance of 34.4 meters. Remember, that is a total distance for the back and forth direction. Means from the source to the reflecting surface and back to the source. Okay. Yeah. Thus, to be able to hear a distinct echo, the reflecting surface should be at a minimum distance of half of the above, that is 17.2 meters. So, if you're standing at a minimum distance of 17.2 meters from a reflecting surface, and if you happen to create a loud sound, you can hear the echo of your own sound, right? But you must remember that the distance might change depending on the various conditions of temperature, as well as density, as well as molecular weight of the medium, because we have previously studied velocity of sound varies, right, with changes in temperature, density, and so forth, right? Then the other concept that we are studying, that was an unwanted aspect of reflection of sound, that was reverberation, right? Reverberation is a uh, phenomena that we do not want to occur, right, with in case of sound. Let us see. Sound waves get reflected from the walls and roof of a room multiple times. Repeated reflections of sound waves from the walls combine to build up what seems like a continuous sound. This causes a single sound to be heard not once but continuously. This phenomena is called reverberation. That is the persistence of a sound in an empty room. Say if you and your friends are present in an empty room or in an empty auditorium, but and if you're trying to listen to music or if you're trying to chat with each other, what will happen is the sound created by the source will get reflected multiple times from the various walls of the room, that may be the auditorium, right? And what will happen is they will reach the listener at different time intervals, and this will cause a repeated continuous sound, right, which will not be audible to you. Okay, so reverberation, to reduce the reverberation, we can have the room covered with bad reflecting surfaces like paper or maybe sponge or maybe curtains, right? So that can reduce the phenomena of reverberation. Then, now let us try to now study the content that we are going to be learning today. That is the new content, the last part of the chapter, right? So within that, the first concept is sonar. Okay. Now sonar is a short form for sound navigation and ranging. Okay, so it is a very important technique used by various ships, submarines, right? So to spot and to locate various objects inside the water, that is underwater. Okay, so it is used to determine the direction, distance, and speed of an underwater object with the help of ultrasonic sound waves. So if you are making use of the sonar technique, you can locate any object which is moving underwater. You can pinpoint its location, as well as you can determine the speed with which it is moving, right? You can also determine the presence of fish shoals, means you can also identify fishes underwater so that the fishermen can put their nets to catch the fish. Okay, so let us now understand how exactly the sonar device works. Okay, now sonar has a transmitter and a receiver which are fitted on ships or boats. If you look at the diagram here, let us zoom into the diagram. Now, if you look at the diagram here, the ship has a transmitter fitted at the bottom of the ship. Okay. Now the transmitter happens to transmit ultrasonic sound waves inside the water pointing downwards toward the seabed. Right. So the transmitted waves from the transmitter travel downwards toward the seabed. They get reflected from the seabed, and as the reflected waves are received by a receiver on the ship, right? By measuring the time required and knowing the velocity of sound in water, you can calculate the distance of the seabed from the surface, from the surface where the ship is present, right? So the ship can effectively calculate the depth of the sea. or depth of the ocean. So if there happens to be any object in between, like a submarine or maybe a fish, the sound waves also get reflected from the submarine or maybe the ship, and it will give you the idea that there may be a ship present, a submarine present, or maybe a fish. Right? Let us try to understand it further. Okay, so the transmitter produces and transmits ultrasonic sound waves. These waves travel through the water, strike underwater objects, and get reflected by them. The reflected waves are received by the receiver on the ship. So if you can look at the small animation here, you can see the sound generated, the ultrasonic sound generated by the transmitter travels in the downward direction, right? The sound waves, they strike the ocean floor and get reflected, okay, which is captured by the receiver, and there is a computer which is attached to the sonar device, which will calculate on its own the distance from the ship to the seabed and thereby give you the depth of the sea. Okay, now let us further see some more applications of sonar. Right now, the receiver converts the ultrasonic sound into electrical signals, and these signals are properly interpreted by a computer. Okay, so the time difference between transmission and reception is noted down by the machine. This time and velocity of sound in water give the distance from the ship of the object which reflects the sonar waves. Right? Sonar is used to determine the depth of the sea and to search underwater hills, valleys, submarines, icebergs, or even sunken ships. So if there happens to be a ship which is sunk underwater, you can identify its location by scanning the seafloor, right? By moving a ship over the seafloor where the ship happens to be sunk, and you can determine the location, right? So the famous ship Titanic was also found by sonar method only. Okay. Then the next technique that we are, if you go back, let us try to understand what is happening here in this animation. Now, if you can see, the ship overhead is generating those sonar waves, right? Now, those sonar waves initially strike the fish which is inside the water, right? You can see the sonar wave is getting reflected by the fish which reaches the boat before the reflection from the seabed. So you can see the wave goes on from the fish downwards onto the seafloor and then gets reflected later on. So the sonar device happens to analyze all of these reflected signals, and then it gives the fisherman or the captain of the ship, right, the picture of the seafloor, and also gives him the idea about any underwater object. That can be maybe a fish, or that can even be a submarine, right? Then now, the next very important concept is about sonography. Sonography is also sometimes called as ultrasonography. Okay, so let us see. Now, ultrasonography, why? Because it makes use of ultrasounds. If you remember, ultrasounds are sounds having frequencies greater than 20,000 hertz. Okay, now, sonography technology uses ultrasonic sound waves to generate images of internal organs of the human body. Right. So, a doctor or maybe a technician will make use of an ultrasonic device and observe the organs inside your body, right? There are various needs, there are various reasons for which you may need to observe the internal organs of your body, right? Now, this is useful in finding out the cause of swelling, infections, or pain. So if a person is suffering from pain or maybe swelling or maybe some kind of infections, the ultrasonic device, that is a sonography device, can help us to identify, right, and diagnose the problems or any diseases that the person may have. Okay, the condition of the heart, the state of the heart after the heart attack, as well as the growth of the fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman are studied using sonography, right? So your heart, the condition of your heart right now, if you want to check up, have a checkup of your heart, if it is working properly or not. If a person happens to have a heart attack, right, then an echocardiogram may be taken, which will give you the condition of the heart, right? So pregnant women, they are made to undergo sonography procedures every 2 or 3 months during their pregnancy term. This will help the doctor to identify if the fetus is growing properly or not within the body, right? So if there happens to be any problem, that may be rectified. Okay, then let us now understand exactly how the sonography machine works, right? So if you can see the image on the left hand side, that is a sonography device. Okay, now during the examination procedure, means during the sonography procedure, the technician happens to have a probe, right? You can see in the center, the probe is held against the organ which you want to scan, and the image is obtained on the screen, right? And the technician will try identify what problems are there, right? So this technique makes use of a probe and a gel. Now the gel is used to make proper contact between the skin and the probe so that full capacity of the ultrasound can be utilized. So whatever organ that you need to analyze with an ultrasound or a sonography, above that organ on the skin, the gel is applied, right? And over that gel, the probe is moved so that the sound waves can be transmitted properly inside the body. Okay, now let us see exactly how the procedure is carried out. The gel is applied to the skin outside the internal organ to be studied. So if you want to be analyzing the kidneys, right? So on the left hand side of your, or on the right hand side, just be on the behind, right? Your gel will be applied, right, by the technician, and the probe will be moved just over the region. Okay, and the ultrasound will be sent through the probe, and the reflections coming from the various organs will be captured and analyzed by the computer, and which will generate the image of the kidneys, and the technician will be able to identify if there are any kidney stones or if the kidneys are functioning properly or not, right? Now high frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe. The sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer which generates the images of the internal organ. As this method is painless, it is increasingly used in medical practice for correct diagnosis. Correct. As the procedure does not involve any invasive techniques, means there are no any cuts that needs to be made to look at the organs inside. Right. Now, if you look at the image here, you can see the image of a fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman. You can see the features of the head. You can see the two hands. Right. You can see right now. See the hands are moving. You can see the fingers which are there. Okay, so the technician can analyze if the uh, child inside the womb of a pregnant lady is growing properly or not. Okay, then now let us now learn about the human ear. Now human ear is one of the most important organs of your human body, right? We can hear sounds because of our ear. When sound waves fall on the eardrum, it vibrates, and these vibrations are converted into electrical signals which travel to the brain through the nerves. So if you can look at the ear and the image here, right? Now the ear is divided into several regions, that is the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear, right? So whatever part of the ear that you see outside, and the ear canal, that is the outer ear, right? Then the eardrum and the bones, the small bones, the smallest bones of your body which are there inside the ear, they are part of the middle ear, right? And the inner ear is a spiral structure, right, which is present. Okay, so we will talk about those, we will discuss those in detail about the various parts of the human ear, right? So ear being a very important part of the human body, and we can hear sounds because of our ear, right? Now the human ear can be divided into three parts. First is the outer ear, second is the middle ear, and the third is the inner ear. Right. So if you look at the diagram, by the way, this diagram is very important. You need to draw the diagram in your notebook and practice this. Right. So you can see the outer ear or the pinna, the outer structure which is there, it is the pinna. It helps to concentrate the sound waves and send them into the auditory canal. Right. So the auditory canal is the tube which goes inside the ear from the outer ear, that is a pinna. Okay, inside there is a tympanic cavity, right, where the sound waves are entering. Just at the end of the tympanic cavity, you have the eardrum, right? So the eardrum is the part of the ear which vibrates when sound waves enter into your ears, right? Now just behind the eardrum, there are a chain of three bones. Now these three bones are connected to each other, and they are just in contact with your eardrum. So as the eardrum vibrates due to a sound, the chain of these three bones also start vibrating. Now these vibrations are then transferred by the third bone. Out of the chain of three bones, the third bone is the staple. Now these stapes transfers these vibrations to the inner ear, where you have a spiral structure which is called as a cochlea. Inside the cochlea, these vibrations are converted into electrical signals, which are then transferred into the brain through the auditory nerve. Right now, the middle ear is also connected through our to our throat through something called as an eustachian tube. Right. So our ear, nose, and throat, they are interconnected. Okay, through this eustachian tube. Okay, now let us go into detail about the three parts of our ear. That is, first is your outer ear or pinna. Now, the outer ear collects the sound waves and passes them through a tube to a cavity in the middle ear. Right. Now, its peculiar funnel-like shape helps to collect and pass sounds into the middle ear. So, if you can look at this, the pinna is the outer structure that we can see. Right. Then the ear canal is just like a funnel which helps to transfer sound waves from the outer ear, that is a pinna, into the middle ear, right, up to the surface of the eardrum. Right. So the outer ear comprises of the pinna, the ear canal, and the eardrum. Okay, so the parts behind or the organs behind the eardrum, they are included under the middle ear. Right. Now the middle ear. Now there is a thin membrane in the cavity of the middle ear called as the eardrum. When a compression in the sound waves reaches the eardrum, the pressure outside it increases and it gets pushed inwards. Means when a compression in the sound wave reaches the eardrum, right, the pressure outside the eardrum increases and the eardrum is pushed inwards, right? And whenever a rarefaction reaches the eardrum, the opposite happens, right? So the pressure outside decreases and the membrane gets pulled outwards, right? So when compression reaches the eardrum is pushed inside. When a rarefaction reaches the eardrum is pulled outside. So that means along with the vibration of the sound waves, the vibrations in the sound waves are in the form of compressions and rarefactions, right? So the compression causes the eardrum to move inwards, rarefaction causes the eardrum to move outwards, right? So based on the type of the sound, the eardrum will move along with the compressions and rarefactions, right? Thus sound waves cause vibrations of the membrane, which is your eardrum. Okay, you can imagine it to be like this. Now you can see the sound waves are coming from outside, they are concentrated and channeled into the ear canal by the pinna outside, right? So the sound waves, you can see they enter into the external auditory canal, the canal, ear canal, and there you can see they are causing vibrations in the eardrum, right? So the eardrum causes the three bones, you can see the small three bones which are connected together, they are also vibrating, and then these vibrations are transferred onto the cochlea. You can see the spiral part on the right hand side. Okay, then next is what? The inner ear. Now the auditory nerve connects the inner ear to the brain. Okay, the inner ear has a structure resembling the shell of a snail. So if you might have seen a snail, it has a spiral structure, right? And it is called as the cochlea. Okay, the cochlea receives the vibration coming from the membrane and converts them into electrical signals, which are sent to the brain through the auditory nerve, and the brain then analyzes this signal. So if you can look at, if you can go back to the detailed diagram of the ear, as you can see here, right? So the part A is the outer ear, the part B is the middle ear, and the part C is the inner ear. I can see the pinna and the auditory canal here, right? So through the auditory canal, you can see the sound waves get transferred onto the eardrum, which is shown in white here, right? Just behind the eardrum, you can see those three bones which are connected, right? These bones transfer the vibrations from the eardrum onto the cochlea, right? And you can see those yellow colored nerves. Now the yellow colored nerve that is coming out of the cochlea, that is called as what? The auditory nerve that goes into the brain, right? Now the function of the cochlea, the function of the inner ear is to convert the vibrations into electrical signals which can be sent to the brain. So you can see the cutout of the cochlea is shown here, right? And the yellow colored nerves, they are going into the auditory nerve and they are passing into the brain further on, right? So that is how the human ear works, right? So the structure, this diagram 12.6 or diagram 12.6 structure of the human ear, you need to draw this diagram and practice this. That can be asked in the examination. Draw a neat label diagram of the human ear, right? Then we saw about the three parts of the ear: the outer ear, the middle ear, then the animation for how exactly the vibrations are transferred inside, right? And about the inner ear, right? Now there are certain questions that students need to be doing as a homework, right? So the first question is, what is sonar? So here you have to write down the full form of sonar, that is sound navigation and ranging, then and how exactly it works, means how it has a transmitter and how it has a receiver, then transmitted waves go down to the sea floor, they are getting reflected and are captured by the receiver, and then the computer calculates the distance, right? There. The next is what? State the applications of sonar. So you can state the application of sonar as sonar is used in calculating the depth of the oceans. It is used to observe any hills and valleys under the sea or on the sea floor. It is also used to track and observe submarines and fishes inside water. It can also be used to find sunken ships on the ocean floor, right? Then next is, how is sonography technology useful in medical diagnosis? Now, medical diagnosis means what? The identification of any diseases or any problems within the human body, right? So sonography technique is useful as in it can help by giving images of the internal organs and thereby identifying the locations of any swelling or infections or pain that is caused. Now, as sonography technique is a non-invasive technique, it is a painless method, right? Hence, it is useful in medical diagnosis. Then next is what? Draw a neat label diagram of the human ear. So here you have to draw the figure number 12.6 from the textbook. Okay. Then you need to explain the working of the human ear. So the working of the human ear can be explained on the basis of the three parts of the ear, that is the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. So in outer ear, you have to explain how the pinna transfers the sound waves into the auditory canal, from where it is transferred onto the eardrum. In the middle ear, the eardrum happens to transfer the vibrations inside, right? As the compressions and rarefactions, right, are reaching the eardrum, right? They are converted into back and forth motion of the eardrum, right? Inside the middle ear, you have these three bones which vibrate along with the eardrum and transfer the vibrations onto the inner ear, which is the cochlea. Then you have to explain about how the cochlea receives the vibrations from the middle ear, and the received vibrations are converted into electrical signals in the cochlea. These electrical signals are then sent onto the brain through the nerves, which is the auditory nerve, right? So these are the questions that you need to be doing. Now let us just go through the content that we have done today. Let us just revise whatever things that we have learned today, right? So yes, so we have learned about sonar technique, right? So sonar is a short form for sound navigation and ranging, right? Sonar is used to determine the direction, distance, and speed of an object underwater with the help of ultrasonic sound waves. Sonar has a transmitter and a receiver which are fitted on the boats. So whenever any question relating to sonar is asked, you can draw this diagram which is there in the textbook, right? So you can see a ship is there which has a transmitter and a receiver fitted on its bottom, right? So the transmitter will send and transmit ultrasonic sound waves towards the ocean floor underwater, right? These transmitted waves will travel underwater and they will be reflected by the various uh, objects inside the water, that may be a submarine or maybe ships or maybe the seabed, right? These reflected waves are then captured by the receiver on the ship, right? And these are analyzed by a computer and then it can give you the imagery of the bottom of the ocean floor, right? Then the transmitter produces and transmits ultrasonic sound waves, and these waves travel through the water, they strike underwater objects and get reflected by them. The reflected waves are received by the receiver on the ship, right? And then it can generate an image of the ocean floor as a scan. Okay, then the receiver converts the ultrasonic sound into electrical signals, and these signals are properly interpreted by a computer. The time difference between transmission and reception is noted. This time and velocity of sound in water gives the distance from the shape of the object which reflects the waves. So whatever object that you may have inside the water, right, that you can calculate the position of the object by measuring the time required for the sound wave to be reflected back. Okay, and we are quite aware of the velocity of sound in the water, right? These are constant values. So knowing the velocity of sound in water, you can calculate the distance. Okay, even the speed of the objects moving inside the water can also be determined, right? As nowadays the sonar methods are highly advanced with the use of computers, right? Now sonar is used to determine the depth of the sea and to search underwater hills, valleys, submarines, icebergs, sunken ships, etc. Right, to various kinds of different ships which are sunken, they are identified and found with the help of your sonar technique. Right, sonar is also used to map out the sea floor, right? Because as today we have larger and larger cargo ships which are moving around, we need to know the exact depth of the sea, right? So near ports where the sea are quite shallow, we need to know the exact depth of the sea so that large ships can also move through them, right? Even the rivers where the river beds are quite shallow, right? There, this technique is used to find out the actual depth so that the ships can transverse or travel through these rivers without any hindrance. Okay, then next technique that we discussed today was sonography, right? Now, sonography technology uses ultrasonic sound waves. What are ultrasonic sound waves? Sound waves having a frequency greater than 20,000 hertz. So that means if you are having a sonography done on you, you will not be able to hear the sounds generated by the device, the probe, right? So sonography technique uses ultrasonic sound waves to generate images of the internal organs of the human body. This is useful in finding out the cause of swelling, infections, pain, or any problems associated with any of the organs, right? The condition of the heart, the state of the heart after a heart attack, as well as the growth of the fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman are studied using sonography, right? So sonography can also be done on any other organs. Sonography can also be done of the muscles of the feet, right? Now athletes who have hamstring injuries or muscle injuries, right? They are made to undergo initially a sonography test, right? So with the help of which we can see if the muscles are proper or not, right? Then this technique make use of a probe and a gel. The gel is used to make proper contact between the skin and the probe so that the full capacity of the ultrasound can be utilized. So you can see the image of a ultrasound device exactly how it is. It does have a computer attached and a probe, right? So the probe is just moved over the organ that needs to be observed in the form of a sonogram, right? And the sonogram, as you can see, is generated over here on the right hand side. Okay, and the doctors and the technicians are trained to identify and observe the sonogram, right? Then the gel is applied to the skin outside the internal organ to be studied. High frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe, and the sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer. That means the probe happens to have a transmitter as well as a receiver within itself. Okay, so the sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer which generates the images of the internal organ. So as this method is painless, it is increasingly used in medical practice for correct diagnosis, right? And to find out what all what all problems is faced by the patient. Okay. Then next we studied was about the human ear. So we know the human ear is an important organ of the human body. We hear sounds because of our ear. When sound waves fall on the eardrum, it vibrates. These vibrations are converted to electrical signals which travel through the brain to the nerves which are called as the auditory nerves, right? You can see the three parts of the ear in the diagram here, the outer ear, middle ear, and the inner ear, right? So this diagram 12.6, you need to draw in your notebook as your homework. Okay, so you can see the various parts of the ear, the outer ear, the auditory canal, the tympanic cavity, then the eardrum, right? So the chain of 3 bones in the middle ear, right, which transfer the vibrations onto the cochlea, right? So the the vibrations are transferred by the bone called as stapes, right, onto the cochlea. In the cochlea, what happens? The vibrations are converted into electrical signals and which are sent to the brain. Okay. One more thing is what? The ear, the nose, and the throat, they are connected via a common passage that is called as a eustachian tube. Right. So whenever you have a cold, whenever you have a severe cold, what happens is sometimes you can feel it through your ear also. If you happen to close your nose, right, means if you happen to put 2 fingers on your nose and close it off and try to blow the air, right, you can feel the eardrums popping. Right. That is through, that is air being forced through the eustachian tube, which causes what? The eardrum to move outwards, right? But don't try it, you know, with a too much pressure, right? Your eardrum may rupture as well, right? So don't try it. Okay. Then next is what? Your outer pinna, outer ear or pinna, the 3 parts of the ear, right? So out of them, the outermost part is called as the pinna. The outer ear collects the sound waves and passes them through a tube in the cavity into the middle ear. So its peculiar funnel-like shape helps to collect and pass sounds into the middle ear, right? So there is a thin membrane in the cavity of the middle ear, which is called as a eardrum, which we already saw in the diagram. So when a compression in the sound wave reaches the eardrum, the pressure outside increases and the eardrum is pushed inwards. Same way, when a rarefaction is reaching the eardrum, pressure outside decreases and the eardrum is pulled outwards. So whenever a sound wave reaches, the eardrum vibrates back and forth, right? Then these vibrations are transferred onto the 3 bones just behind the eardrum. You can see in the animation here. Okay, and these 3 bones then transfer these vibrations onto the inner ear where the cochlea, the spiral snail-like structure is present. Okay, then the auditory nerve connects the inner ear to the brain. The inner ear has a structure resembling the shell of a snail. It is called the cochlea. The cochlea receives the vibrations from the membrane and converts them into electrical signals, which are sent to the brain through the auditory nerve. Right. So you need to remember of the nerve, the name of the nerve, that is auditory nerve. And the brain then analyzes these signals. Right. So then, as I have given these questions, you have to write down them in your notebook. Right. Okay. And this is how we conclude with the chapter. In the next class, we are going to revise the whole chapter again, and then we are going to solve all the solved numericals as well as the exercise numericals, right? So any student, if you want to ask any questions, right, you can raise your hand and ask the question. Yes, bolo, Chris Chaurasia, unmute. Yes, any student happens to ask any question, any doubts, please speak out. Come on, students. Yes. Okay, so then we can stop the class over here, right? Mayur sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So the students don't have any doubts, so we can conclude the class here for today.
Yes, sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So thank you, students. इसी के साथ